The moment Prince William and Kate Middleton stepped onto the BAFTAs red carpet, everything shifted. This wasn't just another royal appearance, it was a return. After 3 years of absence, health scares, and intense global scrutiny, the Prince and Princess of Wales walking in together again instantly reframed the entire narrative around them. Because this wasn't about fashion, it wasn't about film, it was about visibility. And in royal terms, visibility is power. On February 22nd at London's South Bank Centre, the future King and Queen made their first joint BAFTAs appearance since 2023, and the symbolism hit immediately. William, wearing a deep burgundy velvet jacket with black trousers, looked every inch the statesman, but it was Kate who commanded the emotional gravity of the night. Dressed in a soft pink off-the-shoulder gown, the Princess of Wales didn't just arrive, she re-emerged. And that distinction matters, because the last time the world saw her step away from public life, it wasn't by choice. To understand why this appearance is landing so strongly, you have to rewind the timeline. The couple had long made the BAFTAs one of their most reliable joint public moments. As president of the British Academy of Film and Television Arts since 2010, William's attendance has always been expected, and for years, Kate's presence alongside him turned the event into a hybrid of Hollywood glamour and royal tradition. But in 2024, everything fractured. William walked the carpet alone, while Kate remained out of sight following abdominal surgery, a moment that would later take on far heavier meaning when she revealed her cancer diagnosis. That revelation didn't just change public perception, it altered the emotional context of every royal appearance that followed. Suddenly, events that once felt ceremonial became deeply personal. Absences weren't just scheduling gaps anymore, they were signals. And that's why the 2026 BAFTAs carried an undercurrent long before the couple even arrived. The question wasn't just whether they would attend, it was what their presence would say. And the answer came in a single image, them together again. No statement needed, no speech required, just presence. In royal communication, that kind of visual message is deliberate. The monarchy rarely explains itself directly. Instead, it lets moments speak. And this one spoke loudly. Public reaction unfolded in real time. Within minutes of their arrival, social media shifted from fashion commentary to something deeper. Relief, not explosive hype, not viral chaos, but a quieter wave of recognition. People weren't just reacting to how they looked. They were reacting to what the moment represented: stability, continuity, recovery. And that emotional tone is critical because it shows how the public relationship with the Waleses has evolved. They're no longer viewed purely as glamorous royals. They're increasingly seen as figures navigating very human challenges in real time. But here's where the narrative begins to evolve. Because while this appearance looked effortless, it sits inside a much larger strategic arc. The monarchy is in a period of recalibration. King Charles's reign has already been defined by health challenges and institutional pressure, and every move by William and Kate now carries added weight. They are no longer just heirs in waiting operating in the background. They are transitional figures, bridging an older monarchy with a more modern public expectation. And that's what makes this BAFTAs return more than a red carpet moment. It's a signal of readiness, not a coronation-level declaration, but a subtle shift in visibility and tone. When senior royals re-enter high-profile public spaces after periods of withdrawal, it's rarely accidental. It's timing. And timing, in royal terms, is messaging. Another layer to this night comes from William's institutional role. As BAFTA president, his presence has always had a professional dimension beyond ceremonial duties. He isn't just attending as a royal guest, he's attending as a patron deeply embedded in the organization's identity. That dual role creates an interesting tension. On one hand, he represents tradition. On the other, the BAFTAs themselves are evolving, trying to stay culturally relevant in an increasingly fragmented entertainment landscape. And when you combine that with the global spotlight on the monarchy, the result is a moment where two institutions, film and royalty, intersect under intense scrutiny. Then there's the Kate factor, because while William's attendance has been consistent over the years, Kate's presence carries a different kind of energy. She has become, arguably, the monarchy's most powerful visual communicator. Every appearance she makes generates a ripple effect that goes far beyond royal watchers. Fashion, wellness, resilience narratives, her public image operates across multiple cultural lanes simultaneously. And after a period defined by illness and recovery, that image carries even more emotional resonance. But here's the turning point in how this event is being interpreted. At first glance, it looks like a glamorous comeback, a royal date night, a return to normalcy. But beneath that surface, analysts are reading something more calculated, controlled re-entry. Not an overwhelming media blitz, not a dramatic reset, a measured, almost understated return to shared visibility. And that strategy aligns with how the modern monarchy has learned to operate in the social media era, minimizing spectacle while maximizing symbolic impact. Even the tone of the evening reinforced that interpretation. There were no overly dramatic gestures, no overt attempts to dominate headlines, just a composed, united front. And sometimes, restraint becomes the loudest message, because in an age where celebrity culture rewards oversharing, the royal family still operates on a currency of mystery, and moments like this preserve that distinction. Adding another dynamic to the night was the presence of first-time BAFTAs host Alan Cumming, who openly admitted he felt both excited and intimidated heading into the ceremony. That energy subtly shifted the atmosphere. You had a host navigating unpredictability, a film industry in flux, and a royal couple stepping back into the spotlight after a deeply personal chapter. It created a layered environment, one where entertainment and real-life gravity overlapped. And that overlap is exactly why this moment is resonating globally, because it sits at the intersection of spectacle and vulnerability. The BAFTAs are, at their core, a celebration of storytelling. But when real-life narratives collide with staged ones, the impact intensifies. Suddenly, the red carpet becomes more than a runway, it becomes a stage for symbolism. Looking at the broader impact, this appearance also reshapes the public trajectory of William and Kate moving forward. Over the past few years, their public roles has subtly shifted from aspirational to transitional. They're no longer simply representing the future. In many ways, they're actively embodying it. And that transition carries pressure. Every appearance now doubles as a temperature check, not just for popularity, but for readiness. Media narratives are already adjusting. Coverage isn't just focusing on what they wore or who they spoke to, it's framing the appearance as a milestone, a checkpoint in a longer story still unfolding. And that reframing matters, because once the media starts treating moments as turning points, they tend to become self-reinforcing. Each subsequent appearance builds on the last, creating a layered perception of momentum. There's also an emotional recalibration happening with audiences. For years, royal visibility often revolved around spectacle, weddings, jubilees, global tours. But now, reloadability is becoming a stronger currency. And moments like this feed that shift. Seeing a royal couple re-emerge together after a period marked by illness taps into a universal narrative of endurance. It humanizes figures who were once defined almost entirely by ceremony. Looking ahead, the future implications are layered. One possibility is that this marks the beginning of a more consistent return to joint appearances, signaling that Kate's recovery has reached a new phase of stability. Another scenario is that the monarchy continues pacing these appearances carefully, using them as strategic anchors rather than a full return to pre-2024 visibility levels. Both outcomes would align with a more controlled, modern royal playbook. There's also the question of how moments like this shape William's evolving leadership profile. As the future king, every public appearance now functions as a rehearsal for a larger role, and appearing alongside Kate during emotionally resonant moments reinforces a key narrative: partnership, not just marital but institutional. The monarchy of the future is increasingly being framed as a dual presence rather than a singular figurehead, and that brings us back to why this BAFTAs appearance feels bigger than the event itself. On the surface, it's a glamorous night in London celebrating film, but underneath, it's a visual marker in a much larger story about transition, resilience, and recalibration. A reminder that in the royal world, the smallest gestures often carry the heaviest meaning, because in the end, Prince William and Kate Middleton didn't just attend the BAFTAs, they reset the tone, not with a speech, not with a headline-grabbing reveal, but with something far more powerful in royal language, a quiet, united return that signals the next chapter is already unfolding. Modern royal playbook. There's also the question of how moments like this shape William's evolving leadership profile. As the future king, every public appearance now functions as a rehearsal for a larger role, and appearing alongside Kate during emotionally resonant moments reinforces a key narrative: partnership, not just marital but institutional. The monarchy of the future is increasingly being framed as a dual presence rather than a singular figurehead, and that brings us back to why this BAFTAs appearance feels bigger than the event itself. On the surface, it's a glamorous night in London celebrating film, but underneath, it's a visual marker in a much larger story about transition, resilience, and recalibration. A reminder that in the royal world, the smallest gestures often carry the heaviest meaning, because in the end, Prince William and Kate Middleton didn't just attend the BAFTAs, they reset the tone, not with a speech, not with a headline-grabbing reveal, but with something far more powerful in royal language, a quiet, united return that signals the next chapter is already unfolding.